Thank you to Liquid Loans, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast. With Liquid Loans, you never have to sell your pulse. Hashtag never selling. With liquidloans.io, never selling is more than just a meme. It's actually kind of possible. So if you've ever wanted to have your Lambo and drive it too, then start your zero interest-free loan journey today. Liquidloans.io. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Zone 5, a Pulsechain podcast. Today, we are super excited to have a very special guest on the show. Our second lady guest, Fashion Coder, will be here in just a moment. But first, I've got to say welcome to the most elite, the most exclusive Duchess of all Duchesses. She joins us every Pulsechain podcast. Her name is Cassie Wolf, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing, Duchess of DeFi?
I'm great. That never gets old.
I know. It doesn't get old for me either. I know for the people that are listening, audio only, it's hard for them to see. Impossible, actually. But I am wearing a karate combat bandana. So I'm ready to fight. We're talking about the SEC a little bit today. Corey Costa, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you this thing about Corey. Corey is a heck of a guy. He loves the Pulsechain community, and he is a leader in that community of reaching out to other communities and bridging a lot of peace and kumbaya. That's one reason why we love Corey. And Corey is always out there making waves in Pulsechain. Corey, welcome to the show today.
Well, thank you so much for that really kind introduction. I really do appreciate it. I'm trying not to get my face too close to the camera, but I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for that compliment, and I'm happy to be here as always with you guys.
Yeah, well, the camera told me it has no problem with your face being near it. Said it really likes it, actually.
Thank you.
We are bringing on Fashion Coder, and I think, Cassie is fully loaded with some technical questions today, and we were told that Fashion Coder might be able to answer some of these questions. We have been on the elusive hunt for answers to questions about Pulsechain since we started this podcast, and maybe we can break it down and get a few more today. First and foremost, let's welcome our guest here to the stage. Fashion Coder, how are you doing?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm doing so good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty well, pretty swell. And Crypto Bestie back there. Tell us about Crypto Bestie. What is that?
So we all need friends in crypto, and that's something that I found. So my dad was the one that got me into crypto, actually, and he's my crypto bestie. He's the person that I get to talk to crypto about and run all my ideas through him, and he talks to me about what he's learning. And so it's really nice to have that friendship in that way, that we have someone to talk to, because crypto's hard. And so that's where Crypto Bestie comes from, is we all need someone as our crypto bestie. And so that's one of my little taglines, that I get to talk about crypto with people, and I'm happy to help them and be their crypto bestie.
Well, I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool. I was surprised at that. I didn't think that's what that was. What I thought that is like, sometimes people get married to their bags and they can't get rid of them, so it's like a crypto bestie. It's like one of your bags that, you're not married to it. You're good. You love it. You like it a lot. I just made that up. That was an amazing description of crypto bestie that you had. I think that's good adoption stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, people are alone in crypto. That's what people feel all the time. So, Corey Costa, who is your crypto bestie?
I don't know where he is now. So he was the one who got me into crypto when I was working at a pet store. He introduced me to Bitcoin. He told me he sold funnyjokes.com, and I asked him, if you made all this money in crypto, why are you working at a pet store? And he's like, well, I moved to Soho and, spent all my money on apartments. So I was like, oh. And then, in 2017, 7 months later, he moved to Ohio to build a house for his homeless cousin. So I have not heard from him since. But I'd say my closest bestie is someone who who you took out to dinner. That was my mentor. My closest bestie is Frank.
Yeah.
You know who Frank is.
What about you guys? Who's your crypto bestie?
You.
I know that, obviously.
We argue. My crypto bestie and I argue.
We argue all the time. We intensely argue about crypto. We do. It's the most intense conversation we have. Fashion Coder, who's your crypto bestie?
Honestly,
you said your dad.
My dad. Yep, it's my dad.
Yeah. Who else in the community? Who's somebody in the Pulsechain community you look at and you're like, you know what? Maybe they're not my bestie. I can't replace my own dad. But this is somebody who I really like in this community. Who are some of the people in the Pulsechain community you would say that about?
I would say Maddie Allen's probably actually my crypto bestie. He's someone that sometimes we'll just get on the call and talk about crypto and talk about different projects. And so I definitely say he's one of mine. And then Corey, I love you, Corey. Like, you're amazing. And so Corey's also one of my crypto besties too.
Yeah, likewise. That's really cool. Maddie Allen, all in or Allen? I never know which one to say, right? He's actually, I believe, this episode right before this one. So last episode he was on. So we enjoyed having him on. He's very good on camera. We like him. He talks real good, which is good for a podcast. So, all right. Now, look, let's talk, guys, real quickly about the SEC. The SEC has just gotten in big trouble. Now we know Richard's going through all his stuff. We also know that now in October, right? October 24th,
Yes.
we're all going to New York City to go to Richard's hearing. Are you going to go there, Fashion Coder?
I have a conference that week, so I'm going to see. I don't think I can right now, but we'll see what happens.
Well, it's my birthday week.
We're having a while together.
Yeah, we're having the bromance birthday party up there. That's what we're gonna do. We're actually gonna do this. We're gonna call it the bromance birthday party, and we're gonna make this happen. But the whole thing is the SEC is very corrupt, and we know that Richard. Hopefully, this all is gonna get dropped at some point. But this very interesting case happened with DebtBox recently, where the lawyers for the SEC got caught lying. They got in trouble for it. They got sanctioned, and the lawyers had to step down, or supposedly had to. I was told they already had cushy jobs waiting for them. But the question is when is the SEC going to ever be held accountable for any of this corruption? Or are they just going to continue to just pepper companies throughout crypto's existence? Like, when is enough enough? What do you think, Fashion Coder, about some of that stuff?
I feel like it's definitely something that's a heavy topic because it's something that affects us directly, right? As people in crypto. So it can be frustrating seeing that because, it is a direct effect to us. But I do hope that as time goes on and even as regulations happen, that they will also be regulated in how they regulate us.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen. What were you going to say, Corey? You have something to add?
No, I was going to say when they stop being a line in the fourth branch of government, which is obviously central banks. And this is the problem when you have draconian overreach. You have a budding industry that's right now $2 trillion. Let's speculate and say 10, 15 years from now, we could see a $10 to $15 trillion asset class. And the majority of companies in cryptocurrency are moving to our adversaries from a geopolitical standpoint because they find more solace and they find more regulatory lenience in countries that we would deem as not as free as America, but yet the irony is that the SEC is literally has so much draconian overreach on this industry, and it just makes everything look despotic. If I was a crypto company, I wouldn't want to live in America. So I don't know when it's going to stop. I think it'll only stop when this industry becomes too big, and right now it's still very small.
Yeah, look, here's the thing though. So today, we're blessed to have someone on who actually has a skill that none of us have. She was a coder. She claims she may still remember how to do it, but she's not officially working as one right now, but she is a coder developer. And, one of the things that, one of the most beautiful lines in the history of crypto was Charles Hoskinson, when the chain split, and when the DAO was hacked and they were trying to figure out what to do. Do they roll the transactions back and violate what crypto is about and decentralization, or do they just let the hackers take off with the money? And the hackers were not allowed to take off with the money, and they were rolled back. And that's when the Ethereum chain split. The original chain, Ethereum Classic, still exists as a meme basically today. No development on it anymore. And of course, the Ethereum chain. And the whole point here is when that happened, Charles Hoskinson said he was going to opt to vote for the other side, not to roll the transactions back, because he said code is law. Code is law, because code, like math, is defined. And when you have proper code that doesn't have kind of traps in it, it kind of equalizes the playing field in a lot of industries, including government, in a lot of ways. So what, in your mind, Patrick, what are the, because we could talk about, coding and GitHub and stuff, but that's not interesting to I think, a lot of the audience that don't know anything about that stuff. The more interesting thing is, how do you think that, in the future, coding and developing is going to play a role in kind of the development of the infrastructure of the world? Does that make sense?
I just want to say one sentence. You can't declare universal mathematical law with an edict. You can't erase it. You can't erase universal law with an edict.
Yeah, that's good. Something for me personally is with code, it rewired my brain. When I first learned how to code, I was 13 when I learned how to code. And as I was learning, I would have dreams in code. I would think in code, every single thing was in code. Wow. And I think that's actually something that crypto does too, is when you start to learn about crypto, it rewires your brain to think of things in the terms of crypto. But that's the thing, is code is behind everything already. I mean, we have digital currencies. I mean, even in the United States, right? As with the US dollar, people don't really use cash. People use their digital assets within using a credit card or whatever. already uses code. And I just think it will continue to get bigger and bigger, especially with AI. And it is going to be something that can rule the world. And it already does, but it's just going to become bigger, especially in first world countries like the one that we live in, because we are here for convenience and we like to have things be convenient to us. And guess what? Code can give that to us.
I can't wait. Are you looking to use your crypto for a large purchase, like a home or a car? Well, you might want to consider Liquid Loans. It's the first truly decentralized lending protocol built specifically for Pulsechain. Get 0% interest-free DeFi liquidity for all of your needs right now. To learn more about liquidloans.io, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast, visit liquidloans.io. I tell you what I've been waiting on my whole life is to get up and that big robot arm come in and pick me up by the neck and put me on the conveyor belt through the shower, spray me with the stuff, spritz me off. I don't know if it's got a camera. I don't know. And then get me through the other side, and it's going to brush my hair and it's going to brush my teeth for me, like in the Jetsons, and put me in my car and drive me to work. I cannot wait for that. I've been waiting for that my whole life.
I think you have what, like, was it Jetsons in 2040 something?
I don't know. The Jetsons is a false narrative of the future. Let's just admit that. The Jetsons are not real, guys. So I think you make a lot of great points about rewiring the brain. I think in crypto, it's my brain. That's all I think about. It's crypto pretty much.
Yeah.
Crypto and Cassie. That's about all they always say I think about. Now let's talk real quick. There's some kind of really interesting stuff with Pulsechain. I know Cassie's, we're going to get into some questions here in a little bit. I do want to mention, by the way, as we're getting into the show here, thank you to our sponsor, Liquid Loans. We'll talk about them here in just a little bit, but talking about growing, number of developers growing, Pulsechain podcast growing, Liquid Loans growing. There you go. So the fact is, though, is that, out there in the world of development, you got all kinds of different languages. Ethereum, the development language, is known, our programming language, known as Solidity. A lot of people say it's kind of difficult to learn. And there's a lot of crypto projects that use Solidity or something very similar because Ethereum uses Solidity. But as far as Pulsechain goes, since we're trying to figure out Pulsechain, Cassie and I, we're learning. What is it? Also Solidity, or is it a different programming language?
So about 2 years ago, it was in Solidity, but then they decided to upgrade it to Go. And it's called Golang, and it's actually Google's language that they have created. So most people just call it Go. I think at one point in time, they may have migrated it to another language, though. But from my knowledge, the last language that they were in was Go.
But not Solidity. Okay, I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we just learned something big here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, something that's super cool about Go is it allows for multi-threading. And what that means is it allows for a lot of things to happen at the exact same time, which is great for a blockchain because as you have all these transactions happening, it has a throughput that is like unheard of.
Yeah.
That sounds similar to. So I'm a huge fan of Sui.
I knew it was
and
coming.
Sui has parallel processing.
Cool.
So multiple transactions are able.
Yeah, that's really amazing. So okay, well now I need to kind of think about this because to me, I've always the reason that I really got interested in Pulsechain and Hex again is because of stuff we do with Bitcoin and adoption and how everybody in this community knows how to use crypto because it's not a centralized exchanges. So everybody's got to actually do DeFi to get into these projects. And so I believe you probably have a lower technical knowledge for developers than I would say other chains because you have a bigger pool of people coming in to pull from. And what I'm trying to say here is how easy is this language a lot easier to build on than Solidity? And that's kind of what I'm getting around to. I think probably Pulsechain would be one of the easier chains to build on. What do you think? Is that correct? That's just an assumption.
Yeah, I think it would be because as I did research, I actually did a full video on this a couple of years ago because I wanted to know. I was like, why the heck are they moving? And I was like, wait, I have all the knowledge to do this own research myself. Yeah. And so it should be an easier language to learn. There's also another language called Rust, and that language also is one that some people will use. That one is extremely hard to learn. So as you look at different languages and what there is in different communities, it's actually a big deal because, if you don't have an easy language, how are people going to make projects on top of it?
So this is kind of the crux of the entire thing with development in crypto
Mhm.
is we want to be cutting edge, we want to be new, but we want to have cutting edge developers. But blockchain developers are a very distinct little niche, and these programming languages are really niched down as well. And so you can have somebody that's a programming master in one of these and they not know anything else because there's just so much to learn with these other things. And this is like with Cardano, for instance. Charles Hoskinson, once again, I don't mean to bring him up like 74 times in the show, but he is one of the most important central people in the history of crypto, I believe. And so the whole thing is, and I knew this from my previous company, we were doing some stuff with the development with Cardano. The Cardano blockchain is extremely difficult to build on and integrate compared to other chains. However, the whole idea of Cardano with its Plutus programming language is that I thought it's supposed to be much, much, much easier. And what Charles is saying is that really what is going to be the best blockchain? The one that's the number one blockchain that crushes everything is going to be the one that's able to bring the most developers. It's that easy. Ethereum has by far the most developers right now. It's not even close. However, when you look at something like Cardano, it doesn't have nearly as much, but the Plutus language is supposed to make it easier. So that Charles compared it to a pond in the ocean. Right now, our number of blockchain developers is like a pond. I think it's like 200,000 or something. I think that's it.
Wow.
And the overall number is like 20 or 40 million. Like it's crazy, right? It's a lot. It is a drop compared to like a lake. Like that really is a comparison. And so Charles's whole thing is over the long term, as Plutus rolls out and we get this coordination and look, I'm not super technical on some of the things about Cardano, but my understanding of Plutus basically, and maybe I've got some of this wrong, but it is generally like this. It kind of has three different, I think it's like C+ and Java and something else it kind of pulls from. It might be Solidity, might even be the third one. And it kind of makes it where any developer that has any of that experience can come build on there easy. And it's not like that right now that I know of, but it's supposed to be like that over time. And that's why Cardano has such a long roadmap, because Charles doesn't care. Because until the rush of developers comes in, none of it's ready yet. Compared to the overall. Now, I think in this bull cycle, we may see this, and Charles' plan may backfire because he may miss it by a couple of years. I don't know. But that is kind of the overview to everybody of what's going on in the world of development and why it's so important and why the rush to get these languages is so good. And that's why it's great. The Pulsechain has an easy to build on language. So that was a long speech there, guys.
So I was just going to say, I think a nice middle ground is ideal. I remember during the last bull run, I spent a lot of time on Binance Smart Chain because it was fast. The fees are super cheap. And it's like so many of the projects on there were rug pulls or scammy, or you end up with all these people coming in. And even on Ethereum, we see this, people who learned how to code Solidity in their basement, maybe got 4 or 5 lessons in, enough to make a smart contract. And then that was pretty much it, right? That there's no quality outside of that. And so I think having a good balance of accessibility, but also kind of growing gradually over time is the way to go. And it seems like Pulsechain's doing that.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts, Fashion Cooter?
Yeah, so the company that I currently work for, I'm a product owner, which basically means I'm the liaison between the business and the software developers, which is so much fun. But my developers that are on my teams right now, they're actually using Go, which is great because I do not work for a company that is blockchain based, which is great because I get to see, what is still going on in the tech world. And then, there is a tech world in crypto, but it's different, right? And so there are these developers now in the world that don't work for blockchain companies that are making and learning these different languages. And so the onboarding to be able to develop in it is far greater, right? So I think it is such a great opportunity. And I think that using Go was a really good decision. It was the first time I'd ever heard about it. And it's great. I'm like, oh, my crypto experience is now translating over to work because of doing all of that, which is crazy.
Well, I tell you, when I sit here and I think about kind of this conversation, and I think about lakes and ponds and drops and oceans, I think about things that are wet. When I think about things that are wet, I think about liquid. When I think about liquid, I think about our sponsor, liquidloans.io. And I would like to say thank you to Liquid Loans for always being there for us every episode to help us spread the word of Pulsechain and the community and of Liquid Loans. And now at this time, I'm always going to throw it to my main man, Corey, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about Liquid Loans because, man, what a great platform on Pulsechain they are.
You already know that Liquid Loans has the highest TVL on Pulsechain outside of any Richard Hart ticker. So the main tickers, like I've said before, are PHEX, Pulsechain, PulseX, and Inc. It has the highest TVL on Pulsechain. It brings true DeFi and real DeFi to Pulsechain. It also is basically, just for all you guys to know, it is the first truly decentralized lending protocol built specifically for Pulsechain, a fully backed stablecoin, and a low 110% collateral ratio with a no repayment schedule and immutable, governance-free, and no admin keys, which I know that no admin keys is a very important component of blockchain and cryptocurrency, especially in the Hex and Pulse community. So just want to give Liquid Loans a shout out.
Yeah, well, that is fantastic. We love Liquid Loans. Ever felt overwhelmed by your finances? Let me share a secret from our friends at Liquid Loans, the proud sponsors of the Zone 5 podcast. They've created a platform that turns financial chaos into clarity. Secure, quick, and simple. Liquid Loans is all about unlocking your financial freedom. Want to know more? Dive into their website and discover how you can achieve financial peace of mind. Your journey to freedom starts now. liquidloans.io. We're going to have them on the show. I think they might be the next episode.
Yep. Yeah, I believe
They're
so.
coming up very soon. Coming up very soon. We're slowing the podcast down to one episode a week. Actually, we've already done it. This is old news to the listeners and the watchers. But guys, it's that time of the show where I'm going to shut my big mouth and I'm going to let Corey and Cassie ask the guests some questions because they are the two people out of the three people here who know that people that come on the show are more important than the people on the show.
There you go. So I want to ask you, Fashion Coder, you brought up that you're a software engineer, coder, you have this your liaison and your company. And I want to ask you then, how did this profession and your experience with coding and software at such a young age create an appeal towards cryptocurrency when your father introduced you to it?
Yeah, so I did get to learn about coding and everything at a very young age, and how that ended up happening was I was in a computers and business class, and the teacher had her son come in and teach us how to build websites, and we built these websites, and I think the requirement was like 5 pages, and I ended up doing 20 because I thought it was so cool, and so whenever I find something that I'm passionate about, I just go all into it, which I feel like is a good trait, but also it can be very toxic because it can be really intense sometimes. And so when I found crypto, I got in at the bottom of the last bear market and it was just by chance. I bought Ethereum and I was on Binance and that's when they didn't have a US app. It was only the Chinese app. So it was a little sketch. And I put my money in and I had to wait the 7 days to be able to move my funds out into other tokens. And I watched it double and I was like, oh my gosh. So I was a sophomore in college when that happened and I'm studying computer science, right? And I love technical things. And the reason why I love coding so much is it's actually extremely creative. And I like being a creative person. So it was math's my favorite subject. So it was taking like the mathematical structures and algorithms and combining them with the creative side of my brain. And so with that, it was just amazing. And then how that tied into crypto is, it was something that I got to do with my dad. I saw my money do super well, which was really exciting too. And especially being a college student, I was like, wait, what? Like that just is wild. And then, having the relationship with my dad and then moving on and then figuring out, okay, wait, there's a lot to crypto. There's the finance side of it. There's the economic side of it. There's the technical side of it. And my dad and I, we ended up becoming like this powerhouse that he was really good at like the economics and finance side of it. But then I was really good at the technology side of it. So what I started doing is I actually started doing technical analysis on the code to see if it matched up with the white papers. And that was super duper interesting.
No, that's awesome. No, technical. I don't think I've ever heard someone say technical analysis on the white paper. Like that's usually you hear TA with prices, but TA with code is a whole different scenario. And I just want to say something really quick. How I got into crypto in 2017. I remember being able to use Binance, Phemex, Bittrex, HitBTC, all these different exchanges. And I was a junior in college, and my first coin I bought was Litecoin. But then shortly after, I went into crypto with my uncle. And we both watched, as a junior in college, making $9 an hour at a pet store I was making $9.25 at a pet store and you see your money double when you put in a matter of 3 days, it's a shock, and it opened up a whirlwind of understanding where it's like, wow, so many people look at money as you have to work for it for a job, but you can literally, you know, in lack of a better word, sit on your butt and, you know, if you're in the right investment, it can make money for you. And they don't teach you that in high school. As a social studies teacher, they don't teach you as much as they should. So I just wanted to highlight that. It's very relatable. So
money for nothing. Crypto tips for free. Look, I think that, you know, Corey is making some great points there. Okay, so I want to play a game. I want to guess when Fashion Coder got into crypto. I want to guess exactly, pretty much, because I noticed you said in the bottom of the bear market, in the last bear market. So you're obviously talking about after the 2017 bull market. And so the bottom of the market technically would have been in December of 2018. However, if you had got into the very bottom of the market, you wouldn't have doubled your money in a week. It wouldn't have gone up very much because it stayed down. It actually dropped, went up a little bit, down a little bit. I think you just celebrated your 5-year anniversary in crypto. I think you got in March of 2019.
Oh, you're close. It was, let's see. It was in December. So I bought Ethereum at $83, which is the very bottom of the chart for that. And I think it was December of 2019. Wait, something like, I can't even remember now.
It's
You're
interesting.
close. You're close. A couple of months off.
If you say 2019, December of 2019, what that means is it's very interesting. You said the bottom of the market because that was close to the bottom of the bear market. However, it was the absolute bottom of the sentiment of the bear market.
There we go.
That was when December of 2019 and January of 2020 is when I almost quit. And I almost went and worked at roofing. I was that close. I had
so did I.
Dear friend, a zombie, hooked me up, let me borrow 2 Bitcoin to get me through Christmas. It was worth about $6,500 each at the time to get me through Christmas and catch up on some bills. And then in February, my channel blew up and things were never the same. And so I understand, like, when you say the bottom of the bear market, I understand why you say that, because it really was like, we all were like, I think we're wrong. What was this is a great question then, because that was a terrible time to buy crypto. It was a good time financially, but what was your thinking in buying at that time? Because even for us that was the first time that people like me were even like, are we right about this?
Yeah, I was scared. I was petrified.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just, I think my dad had been invested for like 6 months or something like that. And he was like, hey, finances have always been something that was talked about in my family. So from a very young age, like we always talked about finances. So my dad coming to me being like, hey, I think you should invest some money into this, like just see what it does. I was like, okay. And so honestly, I had no clue. My dad actually watched you, and yes, exactly. And actually, funny little roundabout thing, you're the reason why I'm in Pulsechain. And the reason why is because my dad saw your interview with Richard Hart.
Yep.
And that's how he got into Hex. And then from that, and then he got into it that way. And, I was listening to what my dad said to invest into. And so you're technically the reason I'm in Pulsechain.
Well, how about that? Well, look, those are the things I love. I love those reverberating effects that I have. A lot of people know. I mean, I brought in the whole last class of crypto, pretty much. They came in through me, or they knew me, or they hated me, or they watched me, or they loved me, or whatever. And now we're gonna this bull run. We're gonna bring in TradFi. I'm gonna bring in TradFi. We're gonna merge mainstream crypto and TradFi. That's what my goal is, because we need the people that watch that content to come over here to crypto to grow our space. They're coming to us. We're not coming to them. And once again, I'm gonna shut my mouth things.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, like, I remember in the bottom of 2019, I had a cryptocurrency and blockchain club. It was the first one in my school, and it was me and 2 other people, and one person came in, immediately left, and then the other person left. It was just me. And I was like, I texted my friend, Bitcoin was at like 3,500 and Ethereum was that low. It was like $90. And I said to him, I remember saying this, like, I was like, it was a pleasure serving with you in this industry, but I don't know where we're going after this. And then COVID happened. It was that 8 months from 2019 to mid 2020 was a complete crap show. Oh my God. Yeah. So I guess I want to ask you now, Fashion, is we've heard that, and you brought a little bit up, you brought this up before about the programming languages. So I want to ask you, we've heard that Pulsechain is a cheaper Ethereum. Given your background as a coder and software engineer, why would you say Pulsechain is better than Ethereum?
Okay, a couple of different things. So first and foremost, Pulsechain is a fork of Ethereum. So technically it's the same code. But once you fork something, you're actually able to take all of that code and do whatever you want with it. So two main points for this. I really feel like Pulsechain is a better version of Ethereum because it's truly decentralized. You can't actually run Pulsechain without either having the code on your computer or using IPFS. And if you don't know what IPFS is, it's basically, when you type in a URL and it's HTTP, it's that, but it's for a decentralized server. So HTTP is centralized, but IPFS is decentralized. And so Pulsechain actually uses that. So say, crypto is removed from our internet, whatever. Crypto's removed. We can't use it anymore. It's banned. We have the code to Pulsechain that we can actually run on our own computers. So I actually have Pulsechain, Pulsex, and then I have the bridge all downloaded code-wise onto my computer, and I just can upload it and just press the play button, and then, hey, I'm on Pulsex, and I can trade my crypto because I have my Trezor, and I'm able to do that. And so Pulsechain truly is decentralized. It is truly DeFi, and I think that's really important because, who knows what's going to happen when it comes to banning and all that. So that is the number one first thing when it comes to Pulsechain being better than Ethereum. And then the next thing is, and this is from a code perspective. So Ethereum used to be proof of work, right? And then they did all these things and then they became proof of stake. Well, them changing actually added risk to their code because they changed it, right? But something about Pulsechain is it has always been proof of stake. And because they launched and never were proof of work, they were just proof of stake, that actually mitigated risk to having failures within their code and within running it. And so that's also super important is they never had to go through that, which I think is cool. At least from my side, I'm like, that's kind of nerdy.
No, that's massive.
Yeah.
I think when we get home, we're gonna have to go and download all those.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the plan.
Do it.
I think the last question we have is, could you tell me a little bit about the Pulsechain tokenomics?
Yeah, absolutely. So comparing it to Ethereum, it's obviously way less in price, incredibly less. The fees for the transactions are also just insane. I do a transaction on Ethereum and it's like, oh, sweet, I just paid $80 in fees. And then I move over, right? And I do something on Pulsechain. It's like, that was less than $1. Like, oh, I didn't know that we were getting this all on sale over here. Like, that's awesome. And so when it comes to that, that's just been amazing. And then really, I feel like Pulse, it releases pressure from Ethereum, right? I mean, Pulsechain is Ethereum, but just different. And so it really moves lanes on the highway that it opens up freeway space for us to be able to do our transactions and do all of that. And so there's a lot going on with Pulsechain, and there was the sacrifice and there were the airdrops, and we could get into all of these different things that how those contribute to Pulsechain in itself. But there's that.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think I know Cassie is obsessed and wanting to know about these tokenomics. Maybe the two of you ladies can do maybe a live stream or something.
I love white papers.
Yeah.
Me too.
Anytime she likes you and she thinks you're smart, I can tell. So you're good people, we believe. Making a statement on behalf of both of us, but I feel like we've really enjoyed having you on the show, and we'd definitely like to talk to you more down the road. So, guys, it's been an amazing episode. It's been a great episode of the show.
It's my favorite episode.
Yeah, I learned new stuff. Well, guys, I would say this one was my favorite, but I feel like my favorite episode is every one that I do. So this is a great one. No doubt. My favorite one so far, but the next one will be better, I believe. So you guys got to come back to the podcast. And who knows, maybe bromance is the number one coin, the number one meme coin in the world right now. Who knows? I haven't even launched it yet, but I hear it's going to do fantastic. Guys, thank you so much. Fashion Coder, tell everybody where they can find you at.
Yeah, so if you go to cryptobestie.io, I have all sorts of products that I am helping people onboard into crypto with. And then if you look up Fashion Coder, sometimes it's Fashion Coder 6 on different social medias. You can find me on any of the social medias. So thank you so much for having me. This has been so wonderful and so nice to meet both of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So great to have you on the show. So everybody, this has been the Zone 5 Pulsechain podcast hosted by me, BitBoy Crypto, the Duchess of DeFi, Corey Costin, our special guest today, Fashion Coder. Thank you, everybody. Be blessed. Bye-bye. Life's unexpected expenses can be a headache. But Liquid Loans, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast, offers a quick and simple solution. Need a financial lifeline? Check out Liquid Loans and see how they can help you tackle those surprises with ease. A quick visit to their website could be the fix you're looking for.